So, everyone, this is the Next Tape Podcast, episode 114 with Mikel and
Tanyka.
where we have conversations on different topics. So, um, a three-topic episode this time
No,
around.
no.
Oh, oh,
I
I made a mistake.
yeah, I literally told him it was just a regular episode, one topic
God, yeah.
episode.
One topic episode. Okay. My bad. I thought it was a three-topic episode.
Nope.
False alarm, guys. False alarm.
Nope, it's just a regular
So,
one.
a special one-topic episode, guys. I don't know what that topic's going to be.
Maybe we'll find out.
Tanyka?
So this is a part of one of the kind of mini series that we're doing throughout the year. This is the second episode of that. So if you remember, I think maybe a couple months back, we did, or maybe more like 3 months ago, we did an episode.
I think I know where you're going to go with this.
Oh, what am I going to say?
Hamilton?
Nope.
Oh,
we've done more than two.
okay.
We're not done with that one yet, but no.
Okay.
This one we're doing kind of the history of, and the one we did before was of the 911 dispatcher and Miranda rights. If you remember that one, we did back in April, I believe. So if you didn't listen to that one, we'll link it in the show notes in case you missed it. But you can definitely take a listen to that one as well. But this time we're going to be talking about the history of the Amber Alert, which is something we see here in this country.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, it started in the States, though, with a very tragic story.
I think is one of the, I'm going to say 50-50.
It's successful.
It's successful.
The Amber Alert is pretty successful.
I would say it's successful, but at times I wonder, like, do they send Amber Alerts to the people who are just far away from the
have
situation?
To. And I'll explain why. We'll kind of explain with this case that started the Amber Alert. Unfortunately, she did not have Amber, who was just named after, did not have this chance. But you never know what's going to happen with, especially a child, and where that child is going to end up. So that's why they do. Like, it could happen. Like, just to preface here in where we are, something could happen in, like, I don't know.
I do agree.
Like,
something
Niagara Falls.
I
we're
do.
all getting that, right? We just don't ever know where that person's going to end up and what you're going to see.
I do agree with that. But
So that's why.
I feel like at times it's just like,
sometimes, yes. It could be like, are they really going to come all the way out here? But you just never know.
Yeah.
It's better to be safe than sorry.
True.
Right?
You're right.
Yeah. And it bothers me that people are like, oh, this is interrupting. This is Yeah, well, meanwhile, someone's child has been kidnapped, is missing, is whatever. And, like, what's going to happen if potentially you one day need that Amber Alert to be issued for your child?
Yeah.
So
people don't think like that. People just think like a
how
lot of
this is
people
inconveniencing me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like, why is this on my phone? Why is this, like, a thing?
On my phone, that's going through the radio, on my TV, or like whatever. Like, it's like, well, this is what happens.
I don't think you can turn that off, can you? That's it. No.
We have no control over the Amber Alerts or the bolos that happen, or the weather alerts or anything like that.
Yeah, it's in your phone. And I think if either Apple or Samsung tries to, like,
they're getting
they're probably getting like either charged or
100%.
Oh yeah.
They will get into so much trouble.
Yeah, they'd probably sue or like, get them a lawsuit or something.
All you can do is press OK.
Yeah.
And then move on.
Yeah.
That's all you can do.
Well, we do suggest you to read it, but
definitely read it. I always read them. I do read them. But like, if you really don't care, then don't read it, I guess.
If you see something suspicious out there, you see someone like being weird and all that, and you just read that and just like, let the community know, let the police know as well. So
And
that's why.
again, things like, again, we say Amber Alert and we think that's for children, and um, particularly, yes, is meant for children. But sometimes Amber Alerts are also meant for adults, especially
Adults, yeah.
adults that are, you know, don't have the capacity to
Mhm,
take care of themselves or speak up for themselves, like people who potentially have Alzheimer's or other ailments. So
mhm,
yeah, like it's to think about the fact that,
yeah.
someone's
Re-
in danger and
Yeah.
yeah.
Remember, do you remember back then what they used back in the day? Like milk cartons for missing people? Like
Yeah, they would use milk cartons,
milk
but
cartons,
they would do
also
that.
TV
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
But again, this is like prior to Amber Alert because
Hmm.
Amber Alert really didn't come into effect until I think the late 90s. But
90s? Late
yeah,
90s? Was it
not
late
officially.
90s?
Yep. Because I'm pretty sure if I'm correct with this timeline, the, our
Yeah.
victim named Amber,
Yeah.
she didn't go missing and then subsequently murdered
Yeah.
until the early 90s, I believe.
Thought it was the mid
And there
2000s
wasn't
that began.
oh, well,
Interesting.
I think it could have been in Canada, could have started in 2000s.
Hmm.
Maybe it could have been, but no, Amber Alert's been around for a while. But I
Mm,
think it's
okay.
just like
Right.
it's had its mo like it's had to,
Right. Right.
evolve.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay.
Okay.
Right.
So that's the end
Right.
of this episode. So receiving an Amber Alert is something that we all have all grown accustomed to in recent years. We receive messages on our mobile phones or hear television and radio messages describing a potential victim and suspected perpetrator. And we all could probably hear that sound in our heads right now. Amber Alerts have become a valuable tool in deploying emergency management resources in a critical time. However, a few of us are aware of the tragic events that led to the advent of the Amber Alert system. So if you are a true crime partaker, you
Hmm.
do know the story and it's very tragic. So I do want to say again, trigger warning because this is involving a minor. Just trigger warning. This is not going to be a fun one.
Hmm.
So the Amber Alert System, or America's Missing Broadcast Emergency Response, is the namesake of Amber Hagerman. On the night of January 13th, 1996, Amber and her brother were riding their bicycles in a parking lot in downtown Arlington, Texas, as one does. After being gone for only 8 minutes.
Wow.
Let me repeat that, 8 minutes.
Isn't that
Amber
kind
was
isn't that kind of like short, or is it
That's a
that
really short amount
okay?
of time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Amber was abducted by an unknown individual. Despite a well deployed emergency management program and widespread coverage in the local media, Amber's mutilated body was discovered in a creek 4 days later, only a few miles from her home. The
Hmm.
crime, to this day, is unsolved. They never caught who did this to her,
Hmm.
which is probably one of the more tragic parts of this is like
Interesting.
they people people definitely came out and said, I saw this, like, that definitely happened. Um,
Hmm.
but it just wasn't enough to find who did this to
So
her.
no evidence, no,
No,
like, no,
no.
like,
They
you're
yanked her. They yanked her
you.
up. They suspected they saw, like, I think it was a black truck, like, pickup truck, that potentially was, like, in the area when she was abducted.
Mm,
Um, but, like, yeah, no, there was nothing. There was
interesting.
nothing. This person basically yanked her into his truck from his window. Like,
We seen it. We seen the thing like when I'm on there, and they. I think either the FBI or the police could find something, like
yeah,
because
but
we have
again, it's like
the tools and resources.
if there's nothing, like
Hmm.
literally, like again, it wasn't like this person went into the home and
Hmm.
abducted her from the home or
Right.
like whatever, like
Hmm.
that didn't happen. So he's not leaving like trace DNA. Um, he potentially could have sexually assaulted her. But again, if he's smart, he could have worn a condom, you know.
Hmm.
he could have ensured that he wasn't leaving any of his DNA on her. Um, so sorry guys for that visual, but like it's like there's potential like there's nothing on her body that could
Mhm.
have like he could have left behind or a hair or something. Or like if her nails were cut down, like now there's gonna be like his skin cells under her nails or something. It just there was nothing. There was nothing. And that's the sad part. Like even when I think about um John Benet Ramsey, which John Benet Ramsey is one of those cases for me that is lives probably rent free in my mind. And I think a lot of us who
Mhm.
watch true crime or listen to podcasts or whatever, that's probably one case that lives absolutely rent free in our minds. And the difference with that is if there was DNA that could have been collected, the police bungled it, right?
Mhm.
But again, this was a person who potentially, if depending on what side you believe in, this could have potentially been a person who came into her home and kidnapped her, but then
Right.
molested her
Mm.
and then killed her in her home. It's a whole thing.
Wow.
But that's different.
Yeah.
This was a man who picked her up off, like didn't even have to come out of his car
Mhm.
and drove off with her. And then God knows what he did with her and left no DNA on her body. Yeah, I don't know. And again, it's 96. Even what we
Mhm.
have today in forensics is not what we had 30 years
Yeah.
ago,
Yeah.
right? So,
But they still like look for like, cases that are from like, the 90s and they're able to find.
yes, if there was any DNA they
Mhm.
could have collected, even partial,
Oh, okay.
that they could have collected for
Mhm.
later use, then they'll do that.
Yeah,
But
like
again,
like
if
you
it
said, oh yeah, okay. They didn't find DNA. That's what you
I
said.
don't
Okay.
know if maybe they did,
Mhm.
and we just don't know that. But,
Mhm.
they could have potentially found DNA. But again, if it's like, for example, if it's partial, DNA,
Mhm.
they're gonna be very careful because basically whatever they'll have there, like if there's some form of bodily fluid or something, if they find something, but it's not a lot, they're only gonna make sure they're doing it, connecting it to a person they are very certain did this. Because once they test it, it's gone. They don't have that DNA anymore. You see what I
Mhm.
mean? So
Mhm.
it's yeah, it's a whole
Mhm.
it's that's just the whole thing when it comes to forensics is
Mhm.
tough, especially when you're dealing with bolder cases.
Mhm.
Um, so from there, the Amber Alert grew organically. Local residents began wondering aloud um, that if local news outlets can alert residents of severe weather and other similar events, why not do the same when a child is abducted? Broadcasters in the Dallas Fort Worth area began partnering with local law enforcement to develop an early warning system for abducted children. Throughout 1996, other jurisdictions around the country began establishing similar emergency management programs to notify the public. Um, notifying the public when a child was abducted. Despite this early traction, by the end of 2001, only 4 states had statewide Amber Alert emergency preparedness plans. In 2002, the White House convened a conference on missing, exploited, and runaway children. It was at this point the Amber Alert Emergency Management Program came into national focus. On April 30th, 2003, President George W. Bush signed the PROTECT Act into law, which provided the emergency preparedness and response tools necessary to create a national Amber Alert program. With this support, Hawaii became the 50th state to complete its statewide Amber
Mhm.
Alert Emergency Preparedness Plan in February 2005. The Amber Alert system has spread to countries throughout the world and is responsible for the rescue of over 900 children.
Mhm.
Um, so, yeah, just to kind of give the facts a little bit here for the case itself, 'cause they didn't really go into it before. She was 9 years old when she was
Mm,
snatched off her bicycle in the parking lot of the local grocery store. The only description was a blue truck, so not a black truck, but a blue truck that was seen leaving the scene. Lopez was quickly pulled onto a special task force to find Amber, so that's one of the detectives. Quote, for those first few days, we spent all of our extra time looking. It was like if you weren't on another call, you were actively looking for her. We were looking everywhere in the city. Despite national attention and widespread media coverage, a dog walker came across the little girl's body 5 days later, floating in a creek just miles from the grocery. Her throat had been slit. So I think very recently, oh, no, wait, this was a while back. So we're more like close to 30 years now. Law enforcement and family members gathered in Texas the day before the anniversary, the 20th one, for a tearful press conference to once again ask for some type of answers. Um, so, but
well,
yeah, I mean, that's basically it, I believe, kind of in a nutshell. But if, for whatever reason, if you have any information about Amber Hagerman's case, please call Arlington Police Department at 817-274-4444.
okay,
So, yeah, very quick
interesting.
episode, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, interesting stuff. I didn't know a lot of the stuff about Amber. I didn't know this
the
named after a
story
person.
behind it. Yeah,
Yeah, well, yeah, I didn't know that. Interesting.
yeah,
Oh, um, the sound is scary though. When you,
we're all hearing it, right?
yeah, I'm like, I'm like, whoa, like I remember like there was one from like last week. I was like, oh my god. I was working. I was like, oh, what is that? I was like, oh, it's Amber Alert. I was like, oh god. So I looked at it and then I just like, just press OK and I couldn't obviously I couldn't do anything because I was at work. So like basically,
Yeah,
uh yeah. But yeah, interesting stuff. Sad that a situation like this happened
yeah,
to this young lady. Um, but yeah, um, I hope, I hope that this alert does help the community and police officers, and it looks like it is helping
hmm,
the the community and police officers. So hopefully that increases more in the near future, and I hope more people get found and and helped. So
and I hope one
yeah,
day we get answers for
yeah,
who killed her. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. So this ends this episode 114 of the Next Tape podcast. The Next Tape podcast is available on all podcast platforms. We also have a website called Tanika.
Nextdaypodcast.podpage.io.
And where else are we at?
Facebook and Instagram and Next Take Podcast, and Twitter, TikTok, and Blue Sky and Next Take Pod.
And you can contact us on our email at mikeltanika@gmail.com. That is mikeltanika@gmail.com. So yeah, we just talked about the Amber Alert. And I don't know if Tanika wants a little deeper on that.
I mean,
Uh,
that's
yeah,
basically it. That's the
yeah,
history of the Amber
yeah,
Alert.
yeah, yeah. But definitely. Okay. That's it.
Mhm.
So I am Mikel, and
And I'm Tanika.
we're out until
Next week.
all right. Peace, guys. See you next week.